Welcome back, everybody. I'm sure this has happened to most of us, where you're driving down the road and that pesky check engine light just pops up and you're like, okay, I guess I have to take it to the mechanic. Well, what do some of those codes really mean, and which ones are the most common and trouble codes? Joining us this morning, Brian Bowersock, our Auto Man. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning. Always glad to be here. Yeah, that check engine light, that most people just...
Yeah, you panic when you see that, oh no, or sometimes you just let it go and like, I'll check it later. That's what you don't want to do, right?
You don't want to do, because actually the problems can compound. If you have just one problem and you end up having another problem, you'll never know, because the check engine light just comes on for the first thing. So let's run down real quick some of the things that are the most common. And one is catalyst efficiency, believe it or not.
Okay.
And the catalytic converter, the thing that everybody wants to blame all the time, but nobody wants to replace because of the cost of it, that's for sure.
It is expensive.
Is number one. Number two is what we call exhaust gas recirculation, EGR flow concerns. That's actually number two. Probably doesn't mean a lot to you, but it helps. EGR lowers that NOx, that gray haze hanging over Los Angeles. Okay. So that system actually helps reduce that on your vehicle, which is good.
That's very important.
Very important.
We need that fully functioning.
And the third is fuel trim issues, which often can be vacuum leaks or sensor problems that are not contributing to the correct amount of fuel going into the engine, which can cause drivability concerns. And the fourth is evap system, which just basically stores gas fumes from your fuel tank and car system and does not allow them to escape to the atmosphere, keeping your car semi-green. And misfires are the fifth, along with oxygen sensors after that.
So what happens if you just say, I'm not going to replace them? I mean, as you mentioned, compound problems.
Well, you can get other problems. As talking about David's car's broken. We were talking about that this morning. Surprise, surprise, right?
Right.
He has a couple problems going on.
David's just a hot mess.
He's a hot mess, that's right. But the point that we really want to make here is the best thing is get the vehicle diagnosed properly by somebody that's qualified. And the reason for that is you can see here, we have parts that can vary from $1,000 or more to replace, evap canisters, things like that.
Yeah, what does that cost to replace?
An evap canister, most of them have to come from the manufacturer. Usually you're looking $500 to $1,200 to replace one if they're defective. And you'd hate to replace this if you just have a broken vacuum line. So getting it diagnosed properly is important.
That's key, because sometimes I know people who say, I'm just going to go buy that little machine myself. I'm going to go get the code, read it up on a book, and try to do it myself, and they end up in bigger trouble.
And that's a good point. That will tell you a system that's having a problem or has picked up a problem. The problem is not always even in that system. So the testing and pinpointing and diagnosing by a qualified technician is actually the best money you'll ever spend, knowing what's actually wrong with the vehicle. Leave it up to the
professionals like Brian Bowersock. All right, thanks for being with us this morning.
Glad to be here as usual. Thank you.
All right, still ahead here.